Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses, and our goal is to share our experiences and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Tyler, what's going on? Second episode in the flesh. How are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Easton. How are you doing?
Not too bad. This mic, I think, is like trying to run away from me a little bit here, but that's all right.
Yeah, I was just
Getting a little pull, yeah.
A little set up here. All right. I think I'm all good.
We're still getting used to this whole in-person thing.
Yeah, I'm liking it though. This is different for me. I know you have a lot of experience doing this with other people on your two other podcasts, but for me, this is completely new being in person. So
yeah, and I do have a little bit of experience. I don't have experience with this skinny of a table. I feel like I could almost just like touch your hand if I needed to, but yeah, we just it's like a seance. What are the palm readings?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I like in person better though. It feels like a better connection instead 100%. Of just staring at a little 9x16 screen.
Yeah.
Other than that, Tyler, what is going on? What's new with your life since last time we talked to you?
Well, this is actually during tax season. So Riley and I have been talking. We got together, which is good because I know I mentioned it quite a bit that we were on and off with meetings, but we did get together. We did meet. I think we're pretty much ready for our taxes. So it's just interesting. And it was our first time actually doing it. First time being in business, filing taxes as well. So it was an interesting process, just going through that and all the tax that we can get back, which is interesting because I was just like, what can we put on this that we can get tax back on? And I was like, camera, desk, couch. And I was just trying to get as much stuff as possible.
Are you going through, like, how does that work? Do you have a joint accountant then, or does Riley have an accountant you're using, or do you have, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so it's going to be personal taxes. So I don't really know how it's going to work for the business, but he said this is basically for the personal taxes. We're just going to compile everything together because our first year we lost money, or I don't know, it was kind of our second year, but I guess first year. So we're just going to be going through, I don't know if we're going to have to use someone for our business, but this is more so for our personal, we're just collecting everything and then we're going to put that to our personal tax person that we're doing it. So we are doing that separately as personal. I don't know. Are we supposed to do it together for business?
I don't know, because I've never had a partner before, so I'm not sure how it works. I mean, when I meet with my accountant, and I don't know if we have to say this. What do you have to say? Like for certain industries, you have to say like, this is not financial advice. This is not accounting advice.
No, that's like if you're a financial advisor and that sector.
Well, we're not doing that at all. But so basically what I do is he does my business return first. And then after that, he does the personal return. So he does, I want to say it's a Schedule K in the United States, but I'm not sure what it is in Canada, but it might be different with a partner. I can't really speak on that. As far as taking a loss, that's a nice part about business. Mm-hmm. It sucks the whole entire year when you're taking a loss, but once tax season comes around, you're like, good thing I spent all that money.
Yeah, it was just, and it's not stuff that we were buying for the business. It was stuff that we were buying personally. So it was just like, let's just add this on. It was like a laptop, a couch, and camera, lens, and it just kept piling on. We tried to keep thinking of as much stuff as possible that we could pile on. And obviously, you can't use your inventory because that counts as inventory, and it's still part of the business. So we can't file that stuff. But technically, we bought it the year before. I was talking to my tax person's husband before, and that's what he was saying. So it's just basically everything that we bought, and it would have been a lot more beneficial instead of just scrambling right before the taxes to keep track of everything that we were spending. We kind of did, but then we started falling off. Didn't stay consistent with it. I don't know if you have any tips on that.
Yeah, as far as tracking things, I can't remember if I've mentioned this on a previous show, but I have just a monthly expenses and income cash generated sheet. So basically it's split up in a quarter: January, February, March. It's now April, May, June. And then every day, I don't do it every day, track it every day. But there's a column for the expenses, everything you buy. And then there's a column for invoice sent out and then cash collected. So that gives it a general overview. Now that I used to use QuickBooks and send that to my accountant, but now I just send them like, hey, here's the money that's going in my bank account. And I track everything and said, okay, this client paid me on this date and this is how much they paid me. So if I just give him that sheet, which I just call it my accounts receivable sheet, and then I give him my expenses, he does everything else. So it's nothing super crazy as far as tracking goes, but it's just, what's going in the bank account and then what's coming out.
Just staying consistent with it. Do you block time off at the end of the month, or how do you do that? I think you said weekly.
Yeah, I have a 15-minute time slot in my calendar to do it every night at 10:30.
Oh,
so then Usually I don't do it every night because some days it's like I didn't cash a check. I didn't spend anything on my business credit card. But every 2 to 3 days I'll go in there and I'll just go through my bank account and say, okay, well, this day I spent $12. This day I spent 14. Here I spent 250. Then, I cashed a check here for $2,000, here for $1,000, and then put it in there. So there's no really set schedule, but just every couple days I go in there and plug everything in and stay consistent.
Yeah. So it seems like consistency is a big thing, which we lacked a little bit of. We were consistent at the start, but then we kind of trailed off. So yeah, that's a little bit what's going on with me. What's going on with you?
Well, before we get into me, now you have this new fiscal year you can start for tax season where you can, I suppose we go on. I don't know who goes on fiscal years. It's probably these big corporations.
Maybe.
Where it's like, oh, we start in June. That's the start of our year. And like, why? So now you have 2023 to get back in order.
All these travel expenses.
Oh, exactly. I put them on there. Technically, you could be meeting. I put everything on business card, man. You go out to eat, man. You had dinner with a client. That's fine. As far as what's going on with me, I did some cold calls today. You were experiencing a little bit. Kind of just ripping they weren't cold calls. I mean, I call them warm calls because I did send them a video pitch and then call and ask, hey, have you seen that video pitch? So it's semi-warm, but definitely rip the Band-Aid off. There's one person that said, I'm not interested in your services and thank you for taking the time to do this video, but I'm not interested. And I asked, okay, is there a reason? Can I ask why? Mainly just because I wanted to know. And he said, no, you can't ask that. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And then I started to ask my next question and immediately got hung up on. So that was exciting. I was freaking nervous doing the first call. First call, no one answered. Okay. They were closed. Second call, no one answered again. Third call, the person I was trying to reach wasn't in the office. So it did get a little bit less nerve wracking, but man, every time I'd type in that number is scary. And then the second one, the guy said he felt like I was backing him into the corner, which is totally fine. I wasn't trying to do that by any means, but if that's how it came across, just means I need to work on how I'm talking, which is okay. I always say you have to learn through experience, and that was the experience I had to learn through. And I think I told you the strategy I'm already going to implement. I only made 7 calls today, but I'm going to start implementing a new strategy to avoid those 2 not so pleasant outcomes.
Every no brings you closer to a yes.
Exactly. And that's what I have to keep telling myself. But I'm like, after that, like an hour after that, I was like, dude, this sucks. Like it was almost a mood sucker for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And then I went and talked to a bunch of high school kids about business, and it kind of brought it back up. And now we're doing this. So it's at an absolute peak now again. But I mean, you have to convince yourself that even though you get a no, it's maybe just that person and not everybody's going to be a no.
I think once you get that first yes, you're going to be on a high, and then you're just going to want to keep going. So I think once you get there, it'll be a good payoff.
Oh man, I hope. But it's just excruciating making those calls. I'm like, oh, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
But yeah, going into it with confident mindset and every single call is key. Other than that, personal content, I've filmed 11 clips and 3 YouTube videos, which is exciting because I wasn't doing any of that before. And 11 clips, so that gets me through about a month. I think 12 clips would get me through a month.
Sweet.
And then I've started to schedule that personal content. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I tell all my clients to be doing it, but I wasn't doing it. So I needed to start taking my own advice, and I'm excited to get that going. Today was the first post, and then we'll continue with the rest of the posts.
How was batch recording? Because that's pretty much what you did. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
You kind of plugged your head in there a little bit, but once I had all the scripts down, I just filmed a bunch and then edited everything together. I haven't touched the YouTube videos yet. The first one is supposed to be out today, but we'll post Friday and then Tuesday, Thursday next week, and then should be on track. But yeah, batch recording, man, makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and that only took you, I think, a couple hours, which is amazing because when I make my YouTube videos, shit, that takes me like way longer. Like one video will take me like an hour plus, and it just sucks. And that's not even including like script time and coming up with that shit. So
and it helps
flew through that.
It helps having the script. I think there's going to be some B-roll here and there, but yeah, if you can streamline that process to get everything filmed in a couple hours, and I was dicking around on my phone, so it probably could have even been faster. And I actually went into some of it not having the scripts done. So I think if I came in with a script of, hey, here's every video start to finish, that I could rip it out even faster. But it's exciting.
Other than scripts, do you have any advice on batch recording? Because I know video and all that stuff is becoming huge, and a lot of people are trying to take advantage of it. And I know batch recording just kind of saves your time. So do you have any tips other than
outfit changes? I think I talked about that. I actually talked, one of the YouTube videos, Super Meta, is talking about how to batch record content. So if you're watching this, actually, I'll do that one first. So if you're watching this, that YouTube video should be out by now, and you can go watch that. But yeah, outfit changes for sure, and then just come prepared with your scripts ready. And then other than that, energy. Bring the energy, man. That's probably all though, because once you have the scripts, you just pretty much hit record, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I know. With me, when I try to do this, I try to make everything perfect, and I want to get like a whole paragraph down. And if I don't get the whole, like, I'll go through the whole paragraph and I'll mess up like one word at the end. It's like, fuck, I got to restart. So it's like,
are you scripting yours word for word?
a lot of the times I was trying to, which might not be the best. Maybe it's just bullet points. I don't know if that, I think that's what you did.
Yeah. So my outlines are just bullet points. All I write down is a hook. So whatever the hook is, like, are you sick and tired of this hurting your life? Whatever it is. And then after that, my quick little pitch on who I am. I'm Easton Bennett. I run a video production company that's helped over 100 successful clients grow their video business. And then immediately go into the bullet points. So it's like, okay, here's bullet point 1. Here's the things I want to talk about. They're super short. Bullet point 2. Here's the things I want to talk about. 3, and then a conclusion. So I try to keep it as short and sweet as I can, but also putting the information in there that I don't want to forget, because if you don't, you'll definitely forget it. But I find that word for word, it's so hard to memorize it. And then, like you said, if you do screw up, it's hard to get that back, because you screw up and then you have to restart the whole paragraph, rather than if I'm doing bullet points, I can break it up into pieces and then just punch in and out when I'm editing.
Yeah, I know when I first started out, it was a lot of, I would do like sentence by sentence. So you could like hear my drop off towards the end of the sentence, because I knew I was going to stop, and I stopped slowing down. And then I would just like kept doing that. So like, if you actually pay attention to my YouTube videos, when I first started out, you can notice that drop off. And then what I started doing towards more so my recent videos is I would riff a little bit and not pay too much attention to the script and go word for word with it. And I think I just got better at memorizing it, maybe. Yeah. Because I did still try and stick to the script. So yeah, that was a little tough for me.
I have seen clients that I've worked with do that same thing, where if they know the sentence is going to end, their voice starts to drop off. And that's the hardest thing to hide in an edit. Yeah. Because the tones are super low, and it doesn't, you wouldn't say a normal sentence in real life like that. So when I go into it, I go in like this. And if I screw some, when I go into it, that's how I'd restart it. Yeah. So I make sure, like, once I mess up, I immediately go back into the same tone I had, and then just start to roll through it. And obviously there are hiccups here and there, but that's the best way I've found to do it. I know people use teleprompters. I just don't want to take.
I've always wanted to get one, because it takes me so long to go through it. I'm like, I feel like a teleprompter would be perfect, and I'd be able to riff right through.
I got one. If you want to try one while you're here, you can sure do that. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't want to take the extra time to write the script. Yeah. And then scroll back up if I mess up words. Yeah. So I've just found bullet points are the best. But let's get into this week's kind of news topic. We want to chat about the Twitter verification. There's some stuff going on with Elon, probably the funniest man in the world. He is, we were laughing all day about the stuff he was tweeting. Yeah. So basically what Twitter's verification is, I'm not super knowledgeable on this topic. I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but basically it's a release. You can pay for that badge now, correct?
Yeah. So basically what it is to avoid bots, not really avoid, but be able to distinguish between who the bots are and not the bots. And then also everyone, say on TikTok, everyone's going on there and they're leaving all these like hateful comments, and they don't even have a profile picture of themselves. Their username is user17534. So it's like these random, there's the random people on the internet leaving hate comments, leaving all these comments and trolling and shit. So that's basically what the goal of Twitter's verification program is to verify the users. So if you have people commenting, so you know they're actually them, who they say they are. And then it should in turn eliminate bullying, because people are actually, this is the face on this profile. And so if you say, go out and say something racist or say some hate shit, you're labeled right there. Like, this is verified. Exactly. So people are less inclined to actually do that. So it's more of just like a verification of who this person's actually real.
So now that people like me and you, where before we would either need to be a celebrity or have a big following to have one of these badges, we can pay to have one and go through the verification process. Do you think it's beneficial to have one? Do you think, it makes you more, when people look at you, like they're like, oh, this is a real account, they must be putting their business first? Or what do you think on the whole verification thing?
It's so new, but I do also think that there is 2 different variations of it. So there's like the celebrity verification, and then there's like the paid verification, I believe. I'm not sure. I might be wrong on that. But I've been seeing a few people like that I follow and they follow me back and they aren't like quote unquote famous and they have these blue check marks. So I'm like, are they paying for it or did they actually get verified? And it's interesting because it's so new right now because it's like, so what happened is Twitter released this and you got to pay for it.
What is it, like $8 a month or is it now 15?
I think it's around 15. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. He did just tweet something about $7. So I
thought
don't know.
It started at like $7.99, but maybe it went up because now I know on our notes here we have Instagram and Facebook is also copying this trend.
Exactly.
And I went through this process.
Additional profits.
And theirs is $15. I went through this to get verified. I never got verified. It said it was pending verification. Then I tried to change my profile picture and it said I couldn't. So I was getting pissed off. And I was doing this because I saw a gal I know on Instagram and she had the blue check. And I thought, that's weird. I was like, how did you get it?
Followers.
Well, she had like 2,000 followers maybe, and I have like 1,600. So I'm like, how did she get verified? Yeah. So then I went digging in the Instagram settings and figured out you can just pay for it.
Yep.
So then I was like, well, I'm going to try to do this. Went through it, didn't get verified for 2 to 3, 4 days. Then I was like, okay, we took a new profile picture for me today, tried to change it, wouldn't let me. It's like, you have to cancel your subscription and then re-up it. So I'm like, I'm canceling and leaving it forever.
Yeah.
So kind of a headache. We talked about why. I mean, it makes sense. So some bot's not doing it and they want to make sure your face is actually on there. But yeah, it's super interesting how Facebook and Instagram are now copying what Twitter did. Facebook and Instagram are just the copy machines.
Yeah. They're just trying to get as much profit as possible. And like we talked about the other week with TikTok being banned, they're trying to get rid of TikTok so they have less competition. And now they're just trying to copy all these other people. I don't know what they're doing with their profits, but Elon Musk seems to know a thing or two about a thing or two with business.
It always feels like he has some ulterior motive, and he
does with Twitter. I don't know if you heard about it when he first bought Twitter. He's like, I had this genius idea back in 2000 when starting PayPal. He never actually pursued it, and he's like, he's going to be able to do it with Twitter, and that was one of the reasons why he bought out Twitter.
Because now Twitter Inc. is no longer Twitter Inc. It's now X Corp.
I did see that.
So he is switching that because he wants this X Corp to eventually be an everything app, which is super interesting because I can't remember if I was telling you this, but in Dubai, they have an app where you can literally do everything on it. You can order an Uber, you can order food, a hairdresser, you can book appointments. It's basically an everything app where you can do whatever you want on it. If you want something done or need something, get something, it's one app.
Do you think that's too much though? Wouldn't that just be a phone? It's like you don't have any apps on your phone. You just go to this one app and then it's like messages in there, telephone in there.
I think it's more
Facebook
for like
in there,
services.
Instagram in there.
I think it's more for services where it's like I need a hairdresser.
You go in an app to go to the apps.
Yeah, basically it's like I got to open this app to get into my phone. But I'm not super. I've never been to Dubai, but it's super interesting if that's the direction he's want to go. Also, what he is working on now is the news sources. He wants to become this updating news source that happens immediately, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much. So the citizens are going to be real-time journalists, and he classifies Twitter as competition with media news outlets. So like New York Times, other ones,
Wall Street Journal,
other ones out there. I don't pay attention.
This is a big New York Times guy, right here. He's like, that's the only one I watch.
It's because Elon always trolls them, and I think he was the first, or they were the first one to get trolled by him by getting like, I think he gave out specific badges to all these news media outlets, and then I think all of them are like complaining about it. So it's kind of funny.
What were the new badges were different?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's something. It's something to do with like these guys provide information or whatever. I don't know if it's like a trolling thing by Elon, classic marketing tactic, whatever. But it's kind of funny.
He's always got something up his sleeve, and this is going to be big. Obviously, if this platform turns more from this meme Twitter that it is now into this news outlet, this news source that's competing with those big wig news companies. This is going to be huge for journalists where the citizens do become the citizens become the news outlets pretty much.
I feel like that's already happening, especially with like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, especially. But there's so many videos that are able to be like faked and shit, and then you don't even know. And at the same time, you can make it biased because you can cut out the beginning part where someone's getting bullied or harassed and just put the second part in where that bully or person being harassed is beating someone else up, and it's like, oh, hate crime or something like that.
It's all the media. They make it fit whatever narrative they want. Exactly. That's what I hate. So if you can get away from, because I don't like fact checking things either. Because if I read an article, I'm like, I don't know, I got to go check if that's even true. Yeah. If you can figure out a news source of some sort where it's just the raw, real information that you can trust, that's what I'm excited for one day. Because I don't even watch the news at this point. It's just so excruciating.
Maybe that's a business idea. I think that's my business idea next week.
There you go. A news source that you can trust.
No, because it's like being fact checked. So it's like, you don't have to fact check it because we've already fact checked. I don't want to give away my business idea for next
week. Okay, Tyler, let's get into this week's topic. And unless you have anything else to touch on Twitter wise.
No, I think that's pretty much. I don't know if there's any ways that you can use this as businesses, but maybe buying that check mark or the verification badge makes you look a little more official and people validate it. So I don't know. It's still fairly new. And especially with Twitter just wanting to become a news source, it also makes you, if you have I guess typically any business, because anyone can just go out and tweet about it. It's in instant time data release or whatever. So it's like, if you treat a customer really well, they might be more prone to tweet about it. Or if it's really bad service, they might be tweeting about it. So it can go both ways. So with Twitter wanting to become an instantaneous news source, and then also with the verification badges, that's just a couple things to take into consideration for businesses.
I was wondering if I should get the subscription, just because if I'm going to be an internet personality, if I'm going to be creating YouTube videos and trying to make educational content, if it does sell you as, okay, this is more official, it's more professional rather than just an account without one. Mm-hmm. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go, but I can give updates in future episodes.
Be looking forward to that.
All right, Tyler. So let's talk about this week's topic. And I know we touched on this in a previous episode, probably a couple weeks ago, on how when you were in Minot, we were going to do Tyler specific episode and an Easton specific episode talking about our businesses, our journey, how we got to where we are right now, sitting in front of each other. And that's what we're going to do.
Look at us.
It's like a vehicle I drove. But that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to do Tyler first. We're going to talk to him about his journey. So Tyler, for the people that don't know, for the people, maybe this is their first episode listening to the podcast, which is a fantastic one to listen to. What is your elevator pitch? What do you do in life?
God, this is not good. I don't know right now, man. I'm lost. I was honestly thinking about this last night because I was on the RTA call last night, and basically what the guy was talking about is he was talking to a group of people, and basically he would go through his whole pitch, and his pitch would be like 5 minutes. People would start to check out. So it's like, narrow it down to 5 seconds. How can you get it down to 5 seconds? Like, hi, I'm this person. This is what I do. So I was thinking about this last night. If I were to start a business, maybe it's like, I'm Tyler Sinnen. I help your digital online presence.
Yep. That's something that actually, I think we talked about on a mastermind here a couple weeks ago on figuring out almost your elevator pitch, your one line. And I'm pulling out my LinkedIn here because I actually implemented this about a week ago. My LinkedIn bio right now says, we help businesses get more clients and employees by using effective targeted video marketing. That's the one line. So then I've also started to implement that into the YouTube videos that I just recorded that, hi, I'm Easton Bennett, and we've helped over 100 businesses successfully grow their business through video marketing. So I think having that line is super important.
Yeah. And I want to preface this. I did not, as you can tell from the first question, I don't know any of these questions beforehand. So I'm just going to be thinking off the top of my head. And I feel like me personally, like as a person, like this is something that I've thought about, and this is what I've kind of implored over the last, say, maybe 5 years, is I want to be 1% better every single day. So I think that's something that I've been striving for over the last 5 years. So that's,
And to get more into the actual, I know there's the floofy area where it's like, what do I do? What do I want to do? But for the people that don't know, and maybe I'm totally missing this, like I wasn't listening, but what do you do? So you run a retail company with your buddy Tyler, correct?
No, I run it with Riley.
Right,
I'm Tyler.
Two Tylers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not Riley?
Yeah. So that's what we do. We run. Basically, we're pivoting a little bit though. because our slogan was be your best, and what we were currently selling didn't correlate with that. So we're pivoting to more so how can we actually implement that? And now our basically goal slash mission statement is help 1 million people be the best version of themselves. So that's what we're doing with Nuevo, where we haven't launched anything yet, but we're working in the background right now. Currently we're doing the taxes, but we're also working in the background to release digital type of products. A lot of it's going to be free at the start, and then we're going to try and branch out from there. And I think it's just going to be more so of a brand at the start, and then we're going to try and go for there. But basically the goal is to help people be the best version of themselves.
And we'll talk about that pivot a little bit later in the show. But before, I want to start from the very beginning, origin story. How did you get into the business world? Why did you want to get into the business world? What got you there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. Before I actually came to Minot to go to college, I quote unquote got forced to go to school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And in high school, I took accounting classes, and for me, it was easy. And I have a few relatives that are accountants, and they do well for themselves. So I'm like, sure, I'll go to college. I'll do that for a year. And so what I ended up doing, I went to school for that. And then I realized, and at the same time, before I actually did go to college, my mom's like, you're never going to get a good job if you don't go to college, get a good degree. You're going to end up with no job or whatever. And I was just like, that is so wrong. You cannot be farther from the truth from that. And I was just a lazy piece of shit at the time. And I went to school. So yeah, I took accounting my first year. And then after my first year, I was like, fuck, this is the most boring shit. I don't want to sit at a desk all day. And then I ended up pivoting to electrical engineering because at the time I was working in a factory. Uncle of mine, he was an electrical engineer there. And he honestly just rode around the plant on a tricycle. And I'm like, I could do that.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah. So I took electrical engineering, and then like that shit was so hard. And during this whole time, I was like the laziest person ever, and I did not do a lick of homework. I did not study for anything. So first year of accounting, I got by because it was basically a repeat of high school, but electrical engineering, I did not learn anything because I didn't study, I didn't do anything, didn't do homework. And I failed out of that so bad. And then what I ended up doing to avoid telling my parents that I failed, I switched back to accounting. And then what happened, I continued doing nothing, and then I ended up failing out again. And then the next few years, I was just like so lost, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was working couple jobs here and there. And then what I ended up doing was I got told, one thing that I remember really vividly is someone told me that I quit things really easily. And growing up, that's true. I would start a lot of things, I would quit. And that's something that I'm starting to implement recently, where it's like, if I start something, I want to be sure to stick through and not give up. So that really stuck with me. And I also got told at the time, like, I need to get on my own and start experiencing like the world on my own. And that's one thing that I had a lot handed to me. And I feel like I'm trying to branch away from that as much as possible, because then I just like always have that fallback plan.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to branch away from that. And I was like, okay, what's the best thing that I can do to get away and be on my own? So I was like, let's just go to college. I picked a school that was very far away from home, that I could like cut everything off, and I'd be fresh start, be on my own. And throughout my time there, I really got onto like the personal development stuff.
So how'd you pick mine out then?
I Googled cheapest schools for international students, and I think it was definitely top 5. I applied to like this other school in Nebraska, and Minot State just made it really easy. They like replied, they were really responsive. And I think I just had to, I don't know if I just had to write like a paper. Like I didn't even take my SAT or ACTs.
Yeah.
And a lot of schools were asking me about that, and they just kind of accepted me. So we'll take whatever we could get. Yeah. So honestly, I'm really happy about that, because it put me on this path, and I don't know where I would be without it. So once I got here, I got on the like this personal development journey, and a lot over the time, like I don't know how long, maybe like 10 plus years, I've always thought, I don't want to work for someone else. I want to own my own business. I want to be my own boss. And a lot of people tell themselves this, that they want to be financially free. They want to do whatever they want. They want to go wherever they want, whenever they want. So that's something that I've always had in the back of my mind. So that's what I think that business ownership is. But at the same time, like if I had that, I don't think I would actually do it. It's just, I want to have that option.
Yeah.
So
what were your, So you went into marketing then at Minot State?
So I actually, I went
You're
to
like electrical engineering. I went back. I had to get it.
accounting.
Did you?
No. So I started with international business because I was watching Suits at the time.
Okay. Good show.
Yeah. And I was like, I want to be an international business lawyer.
Yeah.
So I was looking up stuff on like what I need to do for like my grad or whatever it is, my degree. And it's like, you don't really need anything, but whatever you want to specialize in law, that's what you should probably take. So I was like, I want to be an international business lawyer. So I'm going to take that. And then after a few weeks of school, I'm like, fuck, I hate school. So I kind of dropped that plan. And then I think after the first year, there was an entrepreneurship course. And then I took that, but they didn't have an entrepreneurship program at the time. It was just like a certificate. And I was just like, okay, I'll talk to the advisor or whatever. And then the next year after that, they added it, took a marketing class. And then I also added marketing after that.
So what were your expectations going into the marketing program then?
Honestly,
like, were you like, this is going to help me get to that point in life where I can eventually own my own business?
Not really. It was just the teacher that taught it, Tanya, I just like the way she taught it. It's not the way I like it, but she taught it in a way that made me engaged and that I actually liked it. And marketing's just all around us. So it just kind of made me add it in there. And I was just like, sure, why not? I'll add it in there. And it seems like something that could be beneficial.
So what was the turning point of you really enjoying marketing then? When you're like, man, I want to do this. You're like, I don't really even like it that much.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I don't know. I think it's just something that I've gotten decent at. And now it's just something that I quote unquote enjoy because I'm decent at it. It's like stuff's more enjoyable when you're good at it compared to like, say I'm like, I don't know, doing like rocket engineering or something like that. I'm not going to be good at that. So it's not going to be very enjoyable for me. It's going to be a lot of failures, but failures is part of the journey. So
it's hard to enjoy something you're really, really shitty at.
Yeah.
So how did Minot State then shape your perspective on entrepreneurship and business in general?
Yeah, I met quite a good amount of people here. And one of the things I lacked was actually taking action because I was roommates with Jameson and we talked about doing so many things, but we had so many ideas, but we took action on none of them. So that's one thing that was really a struggle for me. And I think one thing that actually like threw me into actually starting my first business, which you helped me out a lot on, was I moved out on my own. I didn't have any ties and I was in Colorado at the time. And I had OPT, which basically extends my student visa for a year after I graduate. And I can only be unemployed for a cumulative amount of 90 days total in that year. So I don't know if it was a loophole or not, but I was like, since I was applying to not so many jobs, like hundreds of jobs, and I didn't get any replies. So I'm like, fuck it. It's like 2 weeks away from my starting date. And I'm like, I want to make sure that I have a job. So I created my own business. And that's basically how it happened. It was like back against the wall. What am I going to do now?
Is that allowed? So you can just create your own job?
That's what I did. I don't know if it counted or not, but what happened, like once I start, basically the day that my OPT started or around that time, one of the companies that I was applying to actually reached out to me and they're like, hey, are you still interested? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll interview. And that's where I'm still currently at. So I don't know if it did or not because I never actually hit the 90 days because I ended up getting hired there. So in my opinion, it did count and it did work. So that's basically what it was. I got thrown against the wall and there was no other options other than start that business.
So you have New Frame Digital now. You start that up when your back was against the wall. What was your ideation process for, hey, I want to start a production company? Why was it around that industry?
Yeah, so this is
because
actually
you saw how much fun I was having.
Yeah, I love watching all your shit. So honestly, when I was younger,
you're like, I want to be like you. Easton. Be like Mike.
When I was in high school, my friends and neighbors and I, we would make these corny trampoline videos, and I was like the video guy. I would edit it. I don't even know what platform I would edit it on. It was like Windows Media or something like
Windows
that.
Movie Maker.
Yeah, something like that. It was something crazy bad, and then so. I've always had like this passion for this, I guess you could say, like that I'd never actually realized. And then when I think it was my last year in college, I ended up getting a camera. And I don't know if you know Austin Feist, but he helped me a lot with that. He basically helped me a lot on the photo side because he's more so photo, and then you helped me a lot on the video side. So that was starting to get the ball rolling. And then at the same time, I was starting to do like TikToks and shit. And I was also helping a couple local businesses here, Total Nutrition Minot or something like that.
Yep.
And then I was helping, yeah. And then I was helping them out, and I was also helping out at the internship that I had. So it was just, and I had another internship that I was out helping out for videos as well for social media. So it was just, I had a lot of this stuff, and like it stemmed way back in high school, and I never really realized it at the time, but I just really enjoyed making videos and the whole process of it. And I always like watched YouTube. Like I remember when YouTube first came out, I think I was like always on it and just watching videos. And I thought it was just always cool making videos.
Yeah. And that's something, it sounds like we have similar course of action as far as how we got into the video world. I just picked up a camera and I, for some reason, liked it. And I didn't know I really liked it until I started running with it. And then I just binge watch YouTube, man. It was crazy. Yeah. Like every single video you've seen on Final Cut or like how to frame this or the basics of video production, I watched maybe 3 or 4 times. So it's super interesting to see. So then you started New Frame, ran with that. You then put it on hold.
Yeah. What I would say is I honestly probably learned more in the 2 weeks creating New Frame Digital than I learned to my 4-year degree. So if I would say something, just go and start doing something. You're going to learn so much more than whatever, like going to college and learning all that shit. Like you can watch YouTube videos. That's what I did. That's how I learned how to make a website. I learned about SEO. I learned about blogging. I learned about so much shit, like image optimization.
Experience is the best teacher, man.
Exactly. So I in those 2 weeks building up New Frame, I learned so much, but basically the reason I put that on hold is honestly, I was so scared to reach out to people doing like cold calling and just like, and it was during the pandemic as well. So I wasn't sure if I should go into businesses, be like, hey, I'm just starting out. I want to start doing this. I actually tried to so I started researching houses for sale by owner. Okay. And then I found one and I went to it, but it was a gated community. I'm like, oh, fuck. So I went there and I was like, can I not get in here? And they're like, nah. And I was like, shit. And so I was, so I wanted to try and like go out and trying to network with people that way. But it was during the pandemic. So I ended up getting this job and I just kind of focused all my energy on that. So that's why I took a back seat.
So then you took a back seat for New Frame Digital. You're working in Colorado. Your 1 year fun American time ends. You move back to Windsor, Ontario, and
I like
then
to say deported.
Deported. You get shipped off in a crate, and you get back to Windsor, and you decide that you and your friend Riley are going to start Nuevo. What is that? What's that story look like?
Yeah,
how'd that come about?
This actually started back in college. We would consistently, I would say fairly consistently, have these accountability calls. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on last week. We would just always talk about it. And this is another area that I would be talking with people on starting businesses. And our excuse at the time when I was in college was, I'm like 24 hours away. There's no way we can start a business together. So we're just going to have these accountability calls. And then once I move back home, we're only a couple hours away. And I'm like, there's no excuses now. Let's do this. Let's start it. There's no better time to start than 20 years ago. But we missed out on that. So now we got to start it now. So that's pretty much how it ended up starting. And I've said this before. I think we started it for the wrong reasons. We just started it because we wanted to A, start a business, and B, make money.
So I think before we go into that, isn't there a saying that the best time to start was yesterday and the next best time is now?
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me, 20 years ago is way better though. Yeah. So you mentioned starting the business for the wrong reasons, money, and you just wanted a business. What were those initial thoughts on, hey, let's start this company where we're going to sell luxury watch rolls and wallets and men's products?
Yeah. When we first started, I think at the time it was blowing up, just drop shipping, and everyone was talking about it. So it's like, oh, this is so easy. You just set up a store and then you don't got to do anything and you can chill on the beach.
And people are still saying that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
My buddy just sent me something 2 weeks ago. I think I showed you. Yeah. And he's like, this looks so easy. I'm like, nah, my buddy has one. It's not, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Right. So it's a lot harder than everyone makes it out to seem. And I think the people that are saying that it's easy are probably selling a course. And for us, once we started buying everything, what we wanted to do is make everything branded to make it seem more high end and just like not something that just came shipped out of a factory.
Yep.
So what we ended up doing was branding everything. And when you have to do that, you have to place a minimum order quantity. And when you do that, we had to, we don't have a warehouse. We aren't paying for shipment. So we have to ship it to our houses. So shipped everything to my house. And then we started looking at other stuff. Now we have packaging. We have customized packaging. We have customized tape. We have
those are so many things that people don't think about when they're starting. Like you receive something in the mail from Nike, it's going to come in a Nike box and they're going to have Nike paper on it. But when you're starting that for yourself, you know, you guys do, you have boxes, you have your logo like imprinted into the leather on the watch rolls, which is super cool. But I assume it led to a lot of headaches.
I'm not doing that specifically because the companies would do that for us. So they would just ship everything. It's pretty much done. All we got to do is ship it out, and all we got to do is get orders, which is not as easy as everyone makes it to seem. Oh, set up a couple ads, you're going to be golden. Yeah. We did that, but that was after we lost like X amount of dollars. So sure, you can set up ads, but are you going to be profitable?
Are the ads going to work?
Yeah. Are you going to get a positive ROI or ROAS?
And that's the thing where people starting these drop shipping businesses, it's super easy. It's probably simple to get going, like to get products, to get your logo on products, to figure out, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to sell. Here's the website.
So easy.
But actually making it a business where the product's flowing. There's actually a cash flow. People care about the business. There's a following. That's the part that is just swept under the rug where people are like, it's fine. You'll figure it out. Just like you said, just run some ads.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not as easy as everyone makes it out to seem, where you actually have to come up with that story. We haven't even cracked it yet. We haven't cracked the code yet. I think it's just time and consistency and just continually putting that shit out there.
I think consistency is huge. And that's one thing that, you guys easily could have quit after a few months and you haven't yet, which is good to see that you guys are staying consistent and trying to figure it out, because cracking that code is a lot harder than people make it out to be. As far as, we'll pivot a little bit now, because I don't know if you want to plug like the actual products. You guys can obviously go buy the products. It's awesome. You guys still have them up, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So go buy the products, but you guys are transitioning a little bit more with the brand. Talk to me about that transition. How did that start? And when did you guys realize, okay, let's go a different direction with this?
Yeah. So basically it would start because we don't have a passion for these products, I guess you could say. I thought the products would be cool, and everyone says just start with one product and then you can build it out from there, see if it has product market fit and if there's actually going to be a need for it. And I think it was more so me, I was like, I don't want to just have like a one product website. It just makes it a lot harder to actually build it out as well. So what we decided to do is order a couple different products, and I just don't think there's the belief in it, because we're not seeing it being made. We're not making it personally. There's a disconnect there. So whenever someone says, "Hey, I would buy a wallet," like a friend or a family, or I'll buy a watch case, and it's like, you don't have to if you don't want to. If you're just doing it out of pity, or just it's
fine. It's shipping from God knows where, but.
I mean, technically ship it from my house, but
I suppose. But I guess that makes sense. You're not in the process of handcrafting it.
So there's a disconnect between us seeing the value in the product, because we're not actually making the product. We're not actually seeing where they're sourcing the materials. We're not actually seeing them make everything. So that I think there's a disconnect there, and it's just a lack of passion with those specific products, because it's a little tough when you're shipping products, say wallets. It's just like every other product. Or every other wallet.
Just a wallet.
It's very, what's the consumable? What's the, where it's like,
I know what you're thinking. I can't think of it.
Yeah. Maybe we'll come back to it, where it's just easily replicable. And then it's just like all out on the market. So it's like, you could get this one, you could get that one. What's the difference between them? And it's like, if we were actually like making the products ourselves, I think we would see the more value in it. So it's like, whenever, say, like you said, I'll buy a wallet from you, it's like, you don't have to. If that would be my reaction to it. It's like, you don't got to support me just because like you're trying to support me or whatever. So it's like, we were trying to branch out to people that we didn't actually know that would buy the products, and that was becoming a little bit hard. And basically what we said is, maybe we should try and pivot to something else. And our slogan basically from the start was "Be Your Best." And we never, after all of our calls, we'd always be like, "Be your best." Yeah. And it was just our little thing that we would say after our calls, which is kind of cool. And then after, we just had a discussion, I think it was around January, where we're like, let's pivot and let's have a new vision. Let's have let's just try and sell out of these products. And like, that's our goal right now, is sell out. And then we're going to shift into this. And basically what our goal now, mission is, how can we impact people? And that's what we were thinking. It's like, how can we have an impact on people? And basically what we came up with is help 1 million people be the best version of themselves.
And it's going back to what you talked about with the branding. So like you said, with consumer products, whether it's laundry soap or a toothbrush or, shoes a little bit different maybe, but it's hard when the products are the same, just like a wallet. You can go buy a leather wallet on any website, but really it comes down to the brand and growing that brand. So now that you guys have pivoted into, helping 1 million people be the best versions of themselves, I think it's going to be easier to grow that brand because you're not in a competition with people that are doing the same thing. There are things that are similar, but you guys have your own vision and your own direction that you're headed.
Yeah, it's not we were doing some research, and we slowly did find some more people doing similar stuff to us. So we're kind of doing our own thing in a sense, but at the same time, I think we're going to have a lot more passion with this, and we're just going to be able to have more of like a belief in it. And I think that's what we were lacking, we were lacking the belief in our products and our business.
And I think you can put your own flair on it now. Whereas a wallet, you can't put a Tyler's personality into a wallet, right? Yeah. It's a wallet. It's got the Nuevo logo on it. Cool. Yeah. Put your cards in it and go about with your day. Whereas this, whether you're creating journal prompts or whether you're creating digital products, you can put your own flavor on it that makes it different than other people that are creating the same thing or a similar product.
Yeah, for sure. I've had so many different ideas that we can do and branch off with this, but it's like, okay, one step at a time. What's one thing that we got to do, and not just have like 500 of my ideas. Yeah. And it's just like, let's just tackle one and go from there. So that's kind of what we're working on.
Okay. So pivoting a little bit then, not to go too much into the advice side, but a little bit into reflection point on Nuevo, from having it from the beginning, New Frame, and now you've made the Nuevo transition. So you've had these 3 different ideas, and obviously there's more, but what would be some actionable advice? What can you say? What are some things that you've learned that you can throw out there into the world for people that are maybe going through this weird area?
So one thing that I'm struggling with myself is just starting. It's having your back against the wall and then just going out and doing it. I think if you are struggling to do that, people say don't burn the bridges, but I think that's the best way to do it, is just burn the bridges. Like, if you have a current job and maybe you have like maybe a backing, like you have some money saved up, you don't got to go out and be like, fuck you, I'm leaving. You can leave on good terms, but it's just getting out there, because for me, I have that paycheck coming in. Whereas when I started New Frame, I didn't have anything. So it's like, okay, I got to fucking make this work. Yeah. So it's like, I got this or nothing. So that was one of the things. And within, like I said earlier, I learned so much in just starting. So even if you did just start a business, like even us starting Nuevo, like I've learned so much in the process of actually just going out and starting it and just doing it. So I learned so much in just actually taking action. Actions, like that's what you got to do, is just take action.
That's one of my favorite topics to talk about, is the amount of information and skills you can learn just by doing things. Even taking this podcast, for example, this is episode 33, I think. And the amount of stuff we've learned through this podcast, we've learned our tonality, how to speak better.
Yeah.
Words that we want to cut out instead of I think. We're trying to say I believe. And even with New Frame, you said, it pops up a lot. Yeah. Even with New Frame, you mentioned that a majority of the information you learned was when you had to learn it, was when you started New Frame and you got to learn these new skills. Like you said, I think you said it was better than the 4 years you were at college. So there's something special about starting something in that beginning stages, when you get to work out all these messy kinks where I don't know how to film a podcast. How do you light a podcast? How do you even start a website? Yeah. Those are the fun times in the beginning, because no one's really watching you. And that's when you get to learn the most, and that's where you get to make the most progress.
Yeah. So I would say one thing that you could use as a resource is YouTube. YouTube's been immensely helpful with everything that I do. Google as well. ChatGPT, you can use that. We've used it a little bit with Nuevo, but ChatGPT came after I started like New Frame and all that. But YouTube helped me build a website, learn about SEO. Google helped me learn about SEO as well. And then just building out a website, you're not just going to build a website and people are going to flock to it. Like that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, I got a website. Oh, I got a service.
Why wouldn't people come to it?
Right. That's what I thought, but that's not how it's going to go. So it takes a lot of time. You got to be consistent with it. You got to keep learning and growing. And I think just one thing that we're just constantly doing is trying to take action. I think we might be doing too much. Like you always hear, like, go on one social platform and just be the best that you can be there.
Yep.
And we're on every single platform. So maybe that's not the best strategy for us. Maybe we should be pivoting to just being on TikTok or just being on Instagram. We have done Pinterest ads. So it's just trying out different things. And I think that's just something that's been beneficial for us, is just trying out new things. I know how to run Pinterest ads now. I know how to run TikTok ads now. I know how to run Facebook ads now. I know how to set up a Shopify store. I know how to set up Google Shop ads. So just all this taking action has just helped out so much.
Yeah. And you can look at it as, oh, we tried TikTok ads and it was a failure, didn't work, we didn't make any sales. But it's not a failure, it's a success because you learned. Now I know how to do TikTok ads. Same thing if you learn how to do Pinterest. Yeah, you might not make any sales on Pinterest, but now you know how to do it. It's a service you have. So it's interesting if you flip your mindset into, how is this a positive, rather than, you know, this sucked, it didn't work, it's a failure, go on to the next thing.
Yeah, that was one thing that we went in, or I mentioned to Riley when we first started. It was like, let's go in with the mindset that we probably will lose a lot of money, but we're going to meet a lot of good people and we're going to learn a lot. And that was the two things that I was like going in with the mindset of starting Nuevo, and we're learning a lot. And I guess this is another thing to actually give advice upon, would be actually going into business for the right reasons, and not just starting a business to either make money or to just start a business. Go in and figure out how you can have an impact and serve people, because that's how you're going to make money.
You need to change the market somehow. It doesn't have to be anything drastic, but I do agree that going into business, you have to be able to figure out your USP, if we want to throw that in there, your unique selling point. I think every business should have one. I went into the video world because where I was at, I didn't think people were making great videos. I didn't think the commercials were good. So I found that unique selling point. Whereas you guys, you want to make an impact to, you know, at the bare minimum of 1 million people, making them the best people you can be. So if you don't go into business, you might have run into what Tyler ran into, where it's, you don't feel like you're doing it for the right reasons. You don't believe in it. You're not passionate. And I know people always say, go into something you're passionate about, but it's a little cheesy, but it does have some merit to it. Tyler, what is something that you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
I think what I just said, don't just start a business to make money. Got to figure out a market and how you're going to actually serve them. I think that helped out a lot, because us pivoting to this is, I think, going to be beneficial. I don't know. We might need to do like research on it, but I think there is a market for that. It's just, how are we going to figure out to branch out to these people? How are we going to get in front of them? How are we going to connect with them? How are we going to actually, you know, I said it. Just to actually get customers, because that's been a really tough point. And honestly, the best way to do it is organically. You don't really want to run paid ads, because when people see ads, they don't really resonate with the brand as much. Whereas if they find it organically, they are more likely to connect with it. So it's figuring out how we're going to do that. But what I wish I would know, man, there's probably so much stuff that I wish I would know. It's like, I don't know.
We won't make you pay. I don't know why we say we. I won't make you pigeonhole one down. Tyler, that's all I got. It's good to hear your story. I didn't even know all the intricacies of the story, so it's good to dive into all of these things. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up the show with the business idea and then get out of here?
No, I just appreciate you taking the time to ask ChatGPT for questions for interviews. But yeah, I appreciate you interviewing me, and I'm looking forward to next week and maybe asking ChatGPT how I can ask you questions. Yeah,
ChatGPT and myself tag team the questions for the show. And it's cool how we can come up with the absolute intricacies of some of these questions. Like literally this question, can you tell us more about your early exploration of the idea for a production company called New Frame Digital? That's something I wouldn't ever type up myself. So it's cool to get these questions. And if you give it the proper prompts, it can give you good questions. and eliminate some of your time doing these questions. So yeah, that's a good pitch for ChatGPT, almost as if they were our sponsor of the show. It's not. But Tyler, let's get into this week's business topic. It's on me. SkyHub is this week's business topic.
Alrighty.
SkyHub basically is a platform, website, business, whatever you want it to be, where everything air related, planes, everything is centralized. Because my biggest pet peeve, I've been looking at flights to go to different places. I was going to go to a mastermind in Bali, going to a trip in Vegas, going to a trip in Nashville here in the fall. And there's so many different websites I have to search through and sift through to find everything. It's like, okay, go on Skyscanner to get the cheapest flights. Okay, now Google Flights will tell you these flights and times, but then it won't tell you how many tickets are available. So then I have to go over to Allegiant. Okay, then I book my flight. Now how do I figure out what lounges I can go into? I have this credit card. It gives me access to these lounges. Where are these lounges at? So really, it would be awesome if I could open an app. It would be able to book everything through there. You can book Delta, you can book American Airlines, you can book Allegiant. You can check out maybe a map of all the lounges that you can go in. You can check, the cheapest flights. There's maybe a section where it's like, hey, flights are usually the cheapest if you look at them on Tuesday mornings or if you book 3 months out. And having the central hub, SkyHub, of all the information flight related that you can get, because I'm really sick. And maybe there's even an educational portion where there's a series of content where you can watch, hey, here's the best tactics to use when flying. Okay, now here, how to get the most out of the lounges for Delta. So just having this one app that I can not have to bounce from app to app, because it's driving me nuts trying to figure out all these things. Maybe there's even hotels on there. I don't know.
So is it just for flights? Like, is it Expedia? Is it hotels.com? Is it Trivago? Like,
it's all of it.
It's all of it in one?
Because Expedia, well, the thing that I don't like about Expedia in those other third-party apps is they're taking, like they bump the price a little bit because they have to get a cut. So there'd have to be some sort of revenue model where it's the cheapest ticket, right?
Yeah, I never understood how there's different prices on different platforms.
That's what I hate. That's what's driving me nuts. So then I buy a ticket and I'm like, did I get fucked? Could I have got this cheaper somewhere else? So really, that's the main thing. It's like I'm sick of going to all these apps. I was booking a flight and then I heard from someone else, check Skyscanner, because Skyscanner will tell you if you're getting bent or not. And I'm like, well, why should I have to check Skyscanner? Why shouldn't Allegiant just tell me, here's what it is, here's what we can get it to you for? Why do the flights change? Yeah. Why is it 130 today, 170 tomorrow? I don't get that. So if I could figure out an app, some sort of central hub, SkyHub we could call it, to get all this information, that would be ideal.
I like the addition of the airport lounges and say like the Delta Sky Lounge or whatever other lounges there are. But
because that's one thing, I just got the American Express card and I get access to all these different lounges, but how do I even find?
I feel like they're fairly easy to find once you get to the airport.
Yeah, find them, but I don't know what I have access to. Do I have to go then through my credit card app and then I have to look? I'm like, okay, what do I get the Centurion Lounge and the Delta Sky Club? Okay, well, I don't get this one. But just if it told me
the first time you get it.
Yeah, but then what if you forget? Like what if I haven't flown in 9 months? I don't know. I don't know what I get access to. Does my airport even have one? I don't know.
I would just stick with the same one and then figure out.
But then what if there's better ways to optimize it? What if the Delta card gives you this and the Amex card gives you this? What if I have a layover in Colorado and I've never been to Colorado before? I have. Well, let's say I've never been to Colorado's airport. What do? I don't know where things are. Oh, cool. You got this cool restaurant where you get $15 for free on your Amex card. Cool. I'll go and eat there. But all of these things that you have to take time and figure out yourself and plan for yourself, all these hacks you can
like plug into the app your credit cards that you have, and it's like this store can offer, or this restaurant offers this card. Okay.
And then maybe on there it says, if you use this card, you get 3 times points. Obviously, it'd be a culmination of everything, but that's the one thing. I don't want to have to figure out all these hacks. Oh, here's how to get the cheapest flight hacks, and then I have to get the cheapest credit card hacks, and here's how you get an extra stay at a hotel, and here's how you get an extra lounge, and this is a free TSA pre-check, whatever it is. I'm like, put it all into one. Let me search it, and then we'll go from there.
What's it called? X
Corp. There we go. Dubai, the American Dubai app. That's what we're looking for. Elon, get this fucking, listen to this episode and get that fucking app rolling.
He probably does listen.
He's like, we listen to everything. He's listening to every podcast ever at all times and retaining all the information.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's SkyHub. Just kind of my little rant, things that grind my gears. And it's one of them. Tyler, you got anything else for episode 33?
Not really.
Sweet. That's episode 33 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. If you found value in this content or found this entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. If you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating or a review on wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
Dream big, think big, live big. Tyler Sinden.
There you go. I almost forgot about the quote.